It all starts with a number, a massive headline-grabbing number. When the UK voted for Brexit, many thought it was about one thing: taking back control of our borders. The promise was lower immigration. But what happened? The exact opposite, according to some. Since Boris Johnson's government took the reins, legal migration has skyrocketed. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people coming to the UK not on small boats through official channels with visas. This surge, which some have labelled the Boris wave, has completely changed the conversation. It's not just about illegal crossings anymore. The focus has shifted to the sheer volume of people arriving legally. Nigel Farage, the face of Reform UK, points to these figures as a sign of betrayal. He argues that this isn't what people voted for. In his view, this wave of legal migration is putting immense pressure on the country. Think about it from the ground level. It's about the struggle to get a doctor's appointment, the rising cost of renting, packed trains and congested roads. For Farage and his supporters, this isn't just a statistic. It's a daily reality, a system that's out of control, designed by a disconnected political class. So what's the big idea? What's Farage's master plan to tackle this so-called Boris wave? The headline policy: a freeze on all non-essential immigration. It sounds simple. It's a huge deal. Not everyone stopped. Exceptions for essential skills, certain healthcare professionals. But for most, the door would be shut. The goal: dramatically reduce yearly arrivals. The aim: give Britain breathing space to sort problems before letting more people in. The freeze: reform UK's cornerstone. Response to net migration topping 600,000. You can't fix a leaking boat while water pours in. First plug the hole. The hole: the visa system allowing hundreds of thousands of workers, students, their families. The freeze is the plug. Temporary emergency measure to stop numbers rising and let Britain catch up on housing, schools, NHS. UK has long relied on migration to fill workforce gaps and fuel growth. Businesses, construction, social care. A freeze forces a massive rethink. Compel companies to train British workers, not hire abroad. Protectionist stance. Domestic workforce first, short-term pain for some industries. But it's just the beginning. The freeze grabs headlines. Behind it, policies changing who can come and what rights they have. These are the nuts and bolts. Right, let's get into one of the most radical parts of the plan. It's about something called indefinite leave to remain, or ILR. For many who come to work and live, ILR is the ultimate goal. After living here legally for a set period, usually 5 years, you can apply for it. It means you can stay forever, a stepping stone to citizenship, security and belonging. Farage's proposal is to scrap it, just get rid of it. New migrants would never be eligible for permanent settlement. Instead of a path to staying forever, their stay would always be temporary and conditional. You might be here on a work visa for a few years, but making the UK your permanent home is off the table from day one. This redefines migration from integration and settlement into a purely transactional temporary arrangement. You come here to work, you contribute, and then you are expected to leave. The thinking: ILR is a pull factor. Remove it, fewer come. The UK becomes less attractive long term. The message: Britain is open for business, but it's not open for settlement. It's a stark departure from the UK's multicultural model. Imagine deciding to move here knowing you could never truly call this country home, creating a permanent class of temporary residents. Another key part of the plan is to make it much harder to get a visa in the first place. It's not just about freezing numbers, it's about being much pickier, even for temporary work. Farage's policies focus on two main barriers: money and language. Only high earners who can support themselves and speak English fluently on arrival. The proposal is to significantly increase the salary threshold for a work visa, up to the average UK salary or higher. That cuts out roles in social care, hospitality, agriculture, vital jobs that don't pay high salaries. Under these rules, recruiting from overseas becomes almost impossible in those sectors. English requirements get much stricter, no exceptions. The argument: communicate effectively, integrate at work and in the community straight away. It's meant to prevent isolated communities and reduce pressure on public translation services. Finally, the plan includes a crackdown on benefits. Non-citizens cannot claim state benefits. 0. Every migrant must be self-sufficient. A message aimed at taxpayers. Combined, higher salary, stricter language tests and no benefits, create a very high barrier to entry, filtering for the highest skilled, highest earning English-speaking professionals, fundamentally changing migration to the UK. Now we switch gears. We've heard the plan, but what do the experts say? Look at the economics. Questions pop up. Farage's team claims these policies will save billions by spending less on public services, NHS, schools, welfare, and by hiring British workers. But many economists are waving a big red flag. They say the calculation misses what migrants contribute: taxes paid through income tax, national insurance, and VAT. Studies, including the OBR, show many migrants contribute more than they use in services, especially younger working-age arrivals. Stop them coming and you don't just save costs, you lose revenue. The fear: a black hole in public finances. Major labour shortages in key sectors: NHS doctors and nurses, social care, restaurants and hotels. Many roles filled by migrants. Turn off that tap and businesses could shrink or close, risking slower growth or recession. Forcing pay rises without productivity. Firms pass costs to consumers. Higher prices for coffee and your weekly shop. Fueling inflation and the cost of living crisis. Promise of saving billions versus potential reality. A shrinking economy and struggling public services. Higher prices for everyone. It's a massive economic gamble. Beyond the economic arguments, there are huge legal and ethical questions. Legal experts are deeply concerned. Creating a two-tier society, citizens with permanent rights, migrants with only temporary ones, is a radical step. Lawyers point to the European Convention on Human Rights. The right to a private and family life. Blocking settlement could face serious legal challenges. A nurse works here for 10 years, paying taxes, saving lives. Meets someone, marries, has British children. Under the new rules, she might be told her time is up. What happens to her family? Do British children leave their country to stay with their mother? Or does the family get torn apart? If people know they can never belong, why invest in the community? Why put down roots? It could foster a transient population, here only for the money. Social cohesion, a stated goal, could be damaged if a whole class is kept separate and temporary. Rights groups say this would be cruel and unworkable, creating chaos for thousands of families. Retrospective or new drastic changes would be a legal minefield. UK law relies on precedent, expect endless court battles, and potential damage to the UK's rule of law reputation. Simple on paper, but incredibly complex, with legal and moral challenges that strike at the heart of our values. So where does this leave us? We're standing at a fork in the road, faced with two very different visions for Britain's future. On one side, Nigel Farage and Reform UK see a country in crisis, with public services at breaking point. Their solution: pull up the drawbridge, a freeze on new arrivals, an end to permanent settlement, a high wall for entry, a smaller, more self-reliant Britain prioritising its existing population. On the other side, critics see a recipe for disaster: economic self-harm, a shrinking economy starved of workers and tax revenue, a legal and moral nightmare, divided families, a disposable temporary class. They argue managed migration brings dynamism, growth and cultural richness. The answer, they say, isn't to stop migration. It's to invest in infrastructure and services to support growth. The debate is fierce because the country's identity is at stake. Are we an open globalist nation? Or do we look inward and control borders with an iron fist? Farage's proposals are deliberately provocative, a bombshell forcing the question. Ultimately, the choice is up to the British people. As of today, the debate rages about numbers and economics, but also values and identity.